Hello, everyone. Just a quick announcement about the fall schedule for this show. So, today you're getting a Saturday episode for this week's news because I needed to take a week off, which I talk about in this episode. Going forward, the news episodes will be coming out at the beginning of the work week. So, it'll be like Monday or Tuesday. And my Patreon episodes will continue to be released on the weekend. And you can sign up for those bonus episodes at patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. So, yes, you are going to get this news episode today, Saturday, and then I will be releasing another one on Monday or Tuesday latest. Okay. So, I didn't cover all the most up to date stuff in this episode because I'm saving some of it for the Monday/Tuesday episode. So if you're like, wait, she didn't talk about this, don't worry. You're going to get that in like a day or so. Okay. All right. So, enjoy this news episode. Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. So join me, Bravo and Botox, and we'll catch up on all the Bravo news and read way too much into our favorite shows and Bravo celebrities. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bravo Papers, Bravo Weekly News, here with your host, Emily. And you'll have to excuse me because I have seasonal allergies, hay fever, ragweed, whatever it's called right now at the beginning of September. My whole life I've had this, and then I had a brief period of a few years where it just kind of went away, and now it's back. So it's very annoying. And I heard that if you eat, local honey from your area, it can help like I don't know, whatever. It's in the honey, gets you used to the pollen or whatever, something like that, and it will help. And my husband believed this. And maybe he could be right. He heard this. Okay, I didn't even hear this. And then he went and bought honey from a farm yesterday near us. And yeah, I'm gonna try it. I'll let you guys know how it goes. And yes, I know I can take an antihistamine, but I'm on so much medication, guys, for like 1,000 things for mental health and then also my autoimmune disease. So I'm on a lot of stuff and it's just like, oh, I got to take another thing now. So no, I'm not taking it. I'm just suffering. I'm just going to suffer and complain. That's how I'm going to deal with it. Okay. It's a very like Shannon Bedore way of dealing with it. Suffer and complain. Okay. So we got some news for you. And make sure you listen to the beginning of this episode because I have like a little announcement about the schedule moving forward. I know I talked about this last week, but this is a more like concrete, example. I kind of took a week off last week because the week before I did 2 episodes, the August 22nd, and I needed a week off. I just really needed it for my mental health and so I wouldn't have like a breakdown. I just had so much going on the last week of August and I needed some time to just relax. And I also like went through a little period, which you might have noticed if you follow my Bravo and Botox, which I know the majority of you do, where I didn't post roundups for a little bit. I just need like this is the kind of job it's just like all the time, like all year round. There's always content, there's always episodes, there's always stuff happening, there's always news, there's always, you know what I mean? Like there's never like a week where there's like nothing. So, I needed just like I just didn't even want to look at memes even though they bring me joy usually and make me laugh. I just needed some time off from it. But I'm back, okay? And I feel better, which is good. Like I took a little break from posting roundups because I needed it. I had my own personal things going on. So those of you who sent me like DMs about it, that's why. And I'm back and I'm posting the roundups and stuff again. And now I like enjoy posting them again. Like I was, taking that time off was needed because I was like looking at it and it was like, oh, this is a chore. Like I don't want to do this. And now I feel like kind of myself again and better and all that. Same with recording. Like I just sometimes you just need a week off. So And I did my Patreon episode, but I just needed to not have to, like, just doing the one episode was fine. It's just like I just needed a break from having to do the whole news cycle thing. So here I am doing this episode on a Saturday because I took last weekend off and didn't record at all for the weekly news. And, so next week, back into the kind of like regular weekly news episodes. And that's, for more specifics, just listen to the first minute of this. And on that note, let's get into some news because now I'm playing catch up over here and I've got definitely news to catch up on. So let's start with Real Housewives of Orange County. Because so much mess, like so much mess. I don't even know where to start. Like everything is just all over the place. Um, let's start with this one. Alexis Bellino, of all people, was on Carlos King's podcast and she's talking about just, everything going on and, whether she believes that Gretchen told Katie about the allegation. And she says she does. So she does believe that Gretchen told Katie that about being roofied and whatnot. And, she believes that based on watching the episode. And no, I don't put like so much stock into Alexis Bellino's opinion. But the reason I'm even mentioning this is because she also mentions that Slade needs to get a job. So basically, what she says is that Slade, it's kind of known, I guess, like in their circle that, Slade is one who kind of piggybacks off of Gretchen. It's like she says he doesn't have his own real job. His job is to, she says, schlep around Gretchen's stuff. And then she's, of course, because she's Alexis, she's like, I don't even, someone said that to me. I've never even heard that word before. Anyway, so she says that's kind of his job and maybe he needs to get a real job and stop being so focused on like being involved in the drama and being, basically Gretchen's bitch is what they talk about. So listen, I'm not not an Alexis Bellino fan, but I do agree with her about that. But, that's kind of an easy opinion to have, I guess. So Tamra also in an interview with Us Weekly, and again, these women are all over the place, okay? They are doing interviews with everyone, every magazine, every podcast, it is just the irony is so the irony is so delicious here. It's like, the whole season is about them being mad about going to bloggers, and they are all doing. And listen, I get it. This is like Bravo press tour time and all that. Like for them, I believe, which is why I think Katie was on Nick Viall's podcast and stuff like that. But it is still, you can't help but pointing out the hypocrisy here. Okay, so Tamara explained, basically speaking to Us Weekly, she explained why she thinks Shannon is being so critical of Katie. And she says, quote, I think she doesn't really have a whole lot going on in her life right now. I think that she doesn't have kids at home. She doesn't have a husband or a boyfriend. I think she's trying to make the best of what she's got. And I think it's a little over the top. Okay, because this is in reference to like the New Orleans trip where she was like, I can't stand you. Um, and as Tamra says, the whole thing is a little bit ridiculous. Yeah, Katie did some things and she repeated some things, but you'll see how that plays out. Okay. And listen, she's not wrong. Like, I think that Shannon doesn't have a lot going on this season. Shannon needs this show. And I don't mean necessarily financial. I'm sure financially it helps her as well. But just in terms of like fulfillment in her life, like, I do think that Shannon's been on it for so long and it's become like just such a part of her regular life. Like, I think she can't imagine. I think she can't imagine life without it. And I think it would kind of rock her world if she wasn't on this show anymore. So I do think she's reaching with the Katie thing. I do think that we're going to see Shannon kind of like make up with and forgive Katie at the reunion. I do think we're going to see that. I think she's going to see kind of the way that the wind is turning in terms of the audience and stuff. And I think she'll find something else for next season. basically, because and Shannon is one who doesn't usually need this kind of stuff because she usually has some sort of catastrophic life event like a DUI or whatever the case is. But, this season with that being kind of wrapped up, yeah, I could see that. I could see that kind of being like her reaching for something. So Tamra also in this interview believes the gang up on Katie is backfiring, telling Us Weekly the fans love her. She says, I honestly have not seen Katie since the last time we filmed together, but we have DM'd back and forth. I know what it's like to be an outsider with the girls and how hard it can. Oh, here we go with the Tamra and the victim stuff. But anyways, I know how hard it is. And I think it's backfiring. I think that the fans love her and that whenever there's a gang up like that, it doesn't go over well. And there's more to come on that. So I can't really say more. Did she mess up? Is she a terrible person? Did she mess up? Is she a terrible person who's a danger to society? No. Yeah. I mean, true. She did mess up. I guess she messed up by, repeating what Gretchen and Slade told her, I guess, even though I don't even think like that's. I think if you tell someone something who you don't know that well, like who you're kind of new friends with at a dinner party or a dinner with like 8 or 9 people, and then it gets out, unless she said to Katie, please do not tell anyone this, which I don't know if she did. That hasn't kind of come out yet. I'm just kind of like, I don't think that like Katie gossiping this to someone is like that. I don't think it's something that most of us wouldn't do. That's I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. I think a lot of us would be like, oh shit, you know what Gretchen said? She was, on her second martini at dinner. We were all having fun, and then she said, "Oh, the night of it." And I don't necessarily think Katie did it like thinking it was gonna get out anywhere. And clearly, she was naive in that sense. But Tamra is just playing this so well. She knows. She knows that the fans are so riled up about this gang up right now that all she has to do is forgive Katie and say nice things about Katie and kind of take the audience's side, and that, the heat will be off her. And she's not wrong. And I'm not going to say it's not working because it's kind of working. This is not me saying that I forget that Tamara's a terrible person. No, I'm never going to forget that. And this does not mean we like Tamra or that we're all like Tamra fans all of a sudden, but it does just kind of mean that she's good at housewivesing, the word that I just made up. Okay. So what else we got? So I'm sure you're all very excited to hear Lala's opinions on this, but if I had to hear them, you have to hear them. Okay. So Lala points out that the whole Bravo universe rallied around so she had Tamara on her podcast. Let me start with that. Okay. Lala says the whole Bravo universe rallied around Shannon after her DUI and says, she thinks there's a double standard when it comes to Tamra, and that, they didn't rally around Tamra. I don't know like why Tamra needs rallying or what happened. Oh, I guess because of Teddy, maybe. Well, we rallied around Teddy. Isn't that what mattered? Like, why do we have to okay, whatever. Anyways. And then Tamra in response is like, yeah, I don't know how much longer I can do this. Like, shut up. And you can tell in the clip that like, this all is really not about Shannon and Tamra. This is really about Lala. And she's still, salty about the fact that people didn't give a shit about her divorce from Randall. And then Tamra also in this interview says how, and fuck off, Lala. Like, no one cares. No one cared because we didn't have that like level of attachment with Lala. And I think because Lala's always been so performative and inauthentic, like it was hard to even, it's hard to even have that kind of like emotional connection with her. She's just not that type of like reality star, I would say. Okay, so Tamra explains that she gave Bravo Jen's name for the show years ago, even before Bronwyn was cast. And then Tamra says she was supportive of Jen trying out, but stresses that they were not like super close friends. She says once Jen joined, she acted like her and Tamra were besties, and Tamra shut it down and says, by no means were we best friends. And then Lala says, I think Jen is a tad stunted. adding that she could coach Jen in life. Okay. Lala, her just ability to be so out of touch with reality is it's actually astounding sometimes. Like Lala thinking, like the ego on this woman to think that she is in any way qualified to coach someone on how to live their life. Lala, you're as delusional and stunted as Jen is, just in a different way. I'm sorry. Like you're stunted and you've got your own shit and you still haven't been able to dig yourself out of the PR, hole that you've dug yourself into. You're still in there. And it's been quite a while and you're still in there and you're still saying stupid shit. So I don't know who you think you are. Like, I think Jen will probably bounce back faster from this, from the hate she's getting than you will from the hate that you were getting for sure. Okay. Anyways, so that was Lala's thoughts on everything. Her saying this is just insane to me. And listen, Tamra, they were probably not like besties. I'll give Tamra that, but they were probably closer friends than Tamra saying. Because I think the truth is probably in the middle. They were probably friends, maybe not as close as maybe we all kind of assumed. But again, that's like you're not allowed to get upset at the audience because you are on a reality show and you agreed to bring her on as your friend and to make it out like you guys had a friendship. And fine, I know you did that for the show, but now you want to backtrack on it because, everything, the way that you went after Jen last season, everyone was pissed off at you about that. So now suddenly it's like, well, we weren't even that close of friends, guys. We're like not even that close. Da da da. Like it's just the excuses. Not that I give a shit because right now I'm pissed off at Jen, so I really don't care that much about this, but I'm just saying, like, we see what you're doing. Okay, let's go over to Teddy Mellencamp and her opinions on this because on Two Teas in a Pod, she suggests that Gretchen, in her opinion, did tell, and we know that Teddy's friends with Tamara, so whatever opinion is coming out of Teddy is coming from Tamara as well, okay? So, and we know Tamara, this is the best week of Tamara's life right now. Like, she is just like rolling around and bathing in the hate that Gretchen and Jen are getting. Like she's on cloud nine right now. And I can't lie, like I it is kind of funny because Tamara's so unhinged. I'll get to it later, but her social media reactions, she's evil and everything, but like they've been kind of entertaining. I'm not going to lie. So Teddy suggests that Gretchen did tell Katie she was quote unquote drugged but doesn't want to get sued, so is changing her story. I mean, yeah, I agree. I really do agree. Her and Slade just didn't want to get sued. Okay. The two of them are like, that's why they're backpedaling so much. So then this clip of Teddy talking about this is going around on social media. And on Instagram, Gretchen replies to it and says, "Not true. I never told Katie that. The only person who is changing their story is Katie. She claims she never told Kiki this fake story, and then I find out she actually did. Watch this week's episode. The lie detector says a lot." No, Gretchen, the lie detector says nothing. The lie detector is bullshit because there were multiple things that it said that other people claimed were not true, including Tamara being like, well, I never said, I was told I have autism. And then Heather being like, I never called the paparazzi. And then like, you can't, this lie detector test for 1 gajillion billion reasons is not trustworthy. It is not admissible. Not that we're in court. It is not something that actually backs anybody up. Like, I don't know if Gretchen, well, obviously this comment was before the lie detector episode came out, but like, I'm just thinking to myself, if you really are thinking that this lie detector episode is going to shift the audience's mind and that anyone is actually believing that this is a legitimate way to figure out if someone is lying or not, you are delusional. I just, there's nothing else to say. You are delusional. Okay. Okay. So after all of this, like, all the stuff that happened on not this week's episode that just happened, but the one before, okay, it does, it has been kind of said to the public that the August 28th episode, so that was the one that that just passed, would be her last appearance, Katie Janela's, sorry, last appearance for a while on the show. Bravo felt all of the women were coming for her and decided to remove her from the mix for a bit. Okay, so this is from a source which told OK Magazine. It was clear all of the women had planned to band together to take Katie down, and they ended up refusing to film with her. So, yeah, she is. We see she doesn't even have, as far as I know, a second confessional look. So that, like, the one confessional look that we've seen with the like the brownish, I guess, dress is maybe the only confessional she's going to get this season, because she's not going to be in it that much. And listen, I would love to say that I'm going to like protest and not watch the show, but I got to watch it. Okay. You guys know what I do here. So if you're not watching, I have some Patreon subscribers and followers on Instagram who don't watch it, and they just kind of get the updates from the Twitter roundups, or they listen to the recaps, and they've kind of, they're refusing to watch it. So I fully support those people, and I get like not wanting to watch it because of everything that's happened. I'm going to. So if you want to just get, you know, an update on what's happened, and you can just get my recap, head over to my Patreon. You can support me, who will watch it for you. Patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And you can probably get the idea of what's going on based on the Twitter roundups too, of course. So I get why people aren't watching it, but obviously I will continue to watch it, analyze it, and pick apart why all these women are wrong all the time. Meanwhile, Gina is getting some clapback from Katie Janela's stylists. So if you remember from the second most recent episode where Gina met up with Kiki, well, Gina and Gretchen met up with Kiki, she has this moment where she's like, yeah, and then I find out from these two fucking stylists. Anyway, so those two stylists made a TikTok video. Okay. And they basically outline that Katie has been representing Asian designers. Okay. And that maybe the name of the designer isn't always like a literal Asian name. However, the creative director may have been Asian, or whoever the person who works for the corporate entity. You know what I mean? Like you could have like the head designer for Chanel could be Asian. It's not, you know what I mean? So they're featuring still Asian designers, even though maybe Gina has this very kind of like tunnel vision view of what an Asian designer is. Like, I don't know what she thinks that like Katie's going to be coming out wearing that would be like she's she's a moron, clearly, when it comes to fashion. We all know Gina doesn't know fuck all about fashion. Okay. All you have to do is look at her to know that. But yeah, anyway, so then they show a carousel of images of Katie on the show, all outfits from the show, and there's at least 10 different, all Asian designers. Okay. Or creative directors that she's wearing, that they're representing on the show. And then they make a little dig, a little extra dig at the end, which is my favorite, where they're like, something about like, next time you contact us, don't bother, or something like that. So, to just let us know that she reached out to them, and they are not styling her. So yeah, they definitely ate her up in that, as the kids say on the internet. Meanwhile, on the OC after show, Katie talks about the whole lie detector thing, and she says, quote, I was anxious not only to be in this group of women, but then to sit in Emily's closet and do a random non-certified polygraph test, not in a controlled environment, in her closet. The anxiety made me get sick. I was like puking when I got there. I'm getting glares from Shannon. She's like dragging me. And I was like, this is too much. I just started to get sick. It was too much anxiety. I had nothing to gain from lying. I didn't do anything. Why would I self implode like that? There's literally no reason. Yeah, I mean, I see what she's saying. Like, her lying about this whole, like, her lying about Gretchen making up the roofie story, it would be a self-imploding, stupid lie to make. It does not benefit her in any way. Okay. It doesn't make her look good. It doesn't like help her on the show or with her friendship with these women. Like, I can understand why she would lie about telling Kiki Monique. That I can understand the motive behind. But in terms of lying about the Gretchen thing, there's no reason for that. Like, Like, it doesn't benefit Katie or make Katie look better in any way, shape, or form. So that's why, and I'm starting to think that maybe she didn't even lie about the Kiki thing now. I'll get to that later. But yeah, it's just like, it is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. And, just the whole like, even Heather says on the after show, and some of the other ones do, like Heather mentions, like, oh, yeah, they tell you like not to breathe in a certain way, or that could make it look like you're lying. It's like, okay, so then why are we putting any stock into this at all? And like when you're on the verge of like vomiting, you're so anxious. Like, don't try to tell me that that is somehow accurate in someone's closet with like these fucking actors who I don't even believe are credited anybody's. There's a whole deep dive about that on at Face Reality 16. Go check that out, about why the polygraph test is bullshit, especially in this case, and why these two people that they hired are completely like discredited, you know, bullshit artists basically. And then Emily on the after show says that Jen is the one person who can clarify what was said and what happened. But you can't get a clear answer from her. And that's what's frustrating, because you have Gretchen who has her story, Katie who has her story, and Jen could be the truth in all of this. But, Gina kind of adds on, yeah, but it's like she's saying she wasn't there. Which, listen, I can't stand these two, but they're not wrong about that. It's like, this is something that Jen could clear up. And listen, I think we all know what the clear up is. And I think Jen just doesn't want to say it because she's backing the wrong horse, that horse being Gretchen. And I think it's because Gretchen is there to help take down Tamra. And then, Jen's hatred for Tamra is big. So yeah, it's just, it's insane. Okay. What else we got? Meanwhile, Tamra is having the time of her life on social media while all this is going on. She posted a video of herself with a super heavy filter on purpose, where her nose is like kind of blurring into her face, a la Gretchen. So she's mocking Gretchen. And then she says, reading your comments made me want to scream. Keep watching. I agree with you. We all know who the liar is. Clown face emoji. Hashtag RHOC. Hashtag no nose. Hashtag Facetune. Hashtag Bass Lake. Hashtag filter. Oh man. This season did not go how Gretchen and Jen wanted it to. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay. And then Gretchen on social media posts like, and again, I'm not saying that forgives Tamra or puts Tamra, like, Tamra, you're still the one who did the naked wasted thing in the first place. And don't you think for one second that I'm forgetting about that, or that you're quote unquote off the hook. Okay. However, I find it entertaining just solely in like a housewives way, because Tamra is just, she's just good at doing this kind of stuff. She's good at being evil, she's an evil mastermind. Okay, so then we go to Gretchen. So Gretchen on her Instagram story says, funny how I'm the one who passed the lie detector test 100%, but the two proven liars in the group are outdoing press, continuing to make up tons of stories about me and Slade. I feel like an idiot that I actually stuck up for Katie with this group when they all warned me about Katie and said she makes up lies. She has hurt every single one of us in the group with her lies, and that is why we didn't want to be around her anymore. It has absolutely nothing to do with her culture, as she is spinning in the press. Okay. Here's the thing, Gretchen. No one cares about who passed the lie detector test, because the lie detector test was, number one, paid for by Emily, or as a very funny Twitter said, Shane's mom. Number two, the lie detector people are known to be not credible people, and the lie detector test was not done in a way that is credible, and the way that it's supposed to be done, where you're supposed to have like hours of pre-interviews, you're supposed to be wearing certain clothes in a controlled environment, like the list goes on. And even when the police do it and they follow all those protocols, it's still not admissible in court. So fuck off with this lie detector stuff. No one cares about that. Just pretend the lie detector thing didn't even happen, because that's how irrelevant it is in terms of who's telling the truth and who's not. Okay, so that's first. Number two, they're not, like, I don't think anyone's making up a story. You and Slade said this. Okay, just own it at this point and apologize. That would kind of be the best thing to do. And then the whole like it has nothing to do with her culture. No, it shouldn't have anything to do with her culture. And she's not spinning that narrative. The fans are noticing it. Okay. The fans are noticing that, you made a TikTok video making kung fu noises with that music in the background and squinting your eyes. We notice that. Okay. That's your own fault. You can't get mad at people who might now draw that conclusion after you fucking posted that. Okay. And your hair reminds us of your MAGA status, by the way, every 5 minutes. Um, and then what was the other thing that I was going to say? Oh, yeah. And then you go to that lunch with Kiki and Gretchen, and you're like nodding along while Gina's doing her rant about like, and she's not wearing Asian designer. Like, this is your own. People are drawing this conclusion from watching it. It's nothing Katie said. And if Katie has said anything, which she has, but it's been in response to being questioned. Somebody asked her, what did you think about that video, Gretchen? I saw the interview. I covered it on here. What did you think of that video that Gretchen and Jen made? And what's she going to do? She has to answer and she has to stand up for her community. And she's going to say it was offensive and they shouldn't have done it. And that's basically what she said. She didn't go super hard on it. So, yeah, get out of here. Okay, what else do we have? Then we have another video from Tamra. Tamra the troll, who says leaving the cast strip in tears, but then watching their alliance crumble. And then she's like pretend crying and then all of a sudden stops and like sticks out her tongue and grins. Tamra, I told you guys, this is Christmas. Tamra is having Christmas on repeat over and over again for the last week. Then she also says, even though people are like dissecting naked, wasted, and like it doesn't matter. All she cares about is that everybody's mad at Gretchen and Jen, and that's all she needs. She's happy. Then she puts somebody. She did like an ask me a question on Instagram. Okay, how were you able to forgive Katie? I feel like Tamra submitted that question, but okay. She said, we all make mistakes. The show is about conflict and resolution. She apologized to me and we moved forward. Nothing good comes from holding a grudge. See, and she's right about that when it comes to housewives. It can kill your housewife's career to not forgive and move forward. And we're watching that happen right now. There have been, I could do a dissertation with examples of times where housewives were not able to just keep it moving and it ultimately led to their downfall or to them getting fired or whatever, even if it took a couple seasons, right? And I do think that, you know, these dogs with a bone, as they are with this whole Katie thing, it is going to be to their detriment, right? I really think this could be like the last time we see like Gina and Emily. I think Shannon will forgive Katie by the reunion. Gina and Emily might course correct too, but it might be too late because people might just see through it. But yeah, I do think that part of being a housewife, a successful housewives are able to squash beefs and keep things moving. And the ones who can't do it, that's a problem. Especially when you're going after a housewife for doing things that you've all done. And it's not like it's some capital offense. It's not like it's like Jen Shah stealing elderly people's money. Like this isn't like Erica Jane and the plane victim. Like this is just like talking to a blogger and like telling a lie that's not even that big of a lie. It's like a fib at best. So it's just kind of like, okay, we need to keep it moving here. And case in point, some people have been doing some digging on the internet as they do. At Bravo Boo posted a picture of Gina hanging out with Kiki Monique. Okay, reposted from a long time ago and says, so it's okay for Gina to meet with Kiki Monique, but Katie can't? Exactly. And then also at Everything H Wives posted a RHOC 2025, and the polygraph examiner says to Gretchen before she starts, have you ever taken a lie detector test before? And Gretchen goes, nope. Oh, wait a minute. Flashback to Marriage Boot Camp 2014. Gretchen and Slade taking a lie detector test, and Gretchen is literally strapped in the picture. So clearly we can all have our moments where we either misspeak or we tell a lie and then, we have to apologize later. Are these two lies that I just came up with and showed you evidence of a huge deal? No, but they are the same size and magnitude as the one that Katie told. So get over it and shut up. Okay. And Gretchen is such a liar. I've always felt that about her. Those of you who listen to my Patreon know I am not a Gretchen fan. Her and Slade are terrible people. I was not not excited for her to come back, but I was also not excited about it. But I knew that I was just like, this woman is not to be celebrated. She sucks. Okay. She just sucks. I could go on for a long time, but we have other shows to talk about today. Okay. We're not done with OC yet. I'm sorry. We have one more thing. Okay. Two more. And then I swear we're going to the next show. Okay. Okay. So meanwhile, Jen Pedranti is obviously getting a lot of backlash, especially after the polygraph episode. So she basically made a video, posted it on her Instagram story, just basically being like, fine, if you all think I'm like a racist liar and da-da-da, then just, you don't need to send me comments and unfollow me and da-da-da. And then in the video, she tags Katie and goes, at Katie Janela, please save all your comments for her. Like, are you stupid? I mean, she why would you do that? And then she's like, it feels way better to send love anyway, my best. And then she writes in the comments, you should all send a message to Katie and let her know what a racist, lying, shitty friend I am. She has a DM. It's at Katie Janela. You think I heard the comment and just cover for Gretchen? Fine. You think I'm racist? Disgusting. Please unfollow me. Tell Bravo to fire me. You have one long-running thirsty housewife that will love all your comments. I'm sure her new BF wouldn't mind hearing it either. Running a race PR campaign? Who does that? She's not. Though, I have to if Katie was running a race PR campaign, I would say it. I would. And I would be like, yeah, Katie posted this, that. She literally is barely talking about it. Only when she's asked about it, and if she did want to talk about it all day, that's her right, by the way. But it is the fans. And this is what drives me crazy is when housewives do this, when they're like, oh, this person is running a whatever. No, the fans are and I know, I'm looking at all the tweets. It is what people are tweeting about. It is their opinion watching, and it is coming out during, literally while the episodes are playing. It's not in reaction to Katie is saying something in an interview and then everyone's like, oh yeah, now that Katie mentioned that in the interview, remember in this episode when this happened? No, it's people live tweeting these reactions as they watch. So enough with that. And to say that your friend is doing that is even shittier, Jen. Okay. And then Jen's all up in the comments. She is spiraling. My God. And she needs to just stay out of the comments, honestly. Someone says, you were the biggest disappointment of the season. Oh, man, that's harsh. And then she responds and says, perfect. Please unfollow me and go support at Katie Janela. She's been so hurt. She needs love and support. That would be very kind of you. Okay. Just a lot of passive aggressive. Somebody else, I don't think all of this turned out as you had hoped. You should come clean and tell what you heard. Gretchen admitted her own self. You must have seen the footage, etc. And then she says, I heard nothing. It's not a cover. Katie was my friend long before Gretchen. She has an IG. Please go feed her ego. It's at Katie Janela. I'm tired. I'm sick of this bullshit. The fact that she's keeps telling people to go to Katie's Instagram and adding her is just it's just not the move. And then she says, I don't even need fans. I was told, share your life, be authentic. This ... race crap. It's disgusting. Thank you for the kindness. And then people are like, race crap. Oh girl. Yeah, no, she's lost the plot. She really, yeah, it's not good. Okay. Jen, this is the time to be silent. If I was her PR manager, I would say, shut your mouth, get off social media, get out of the comments. Make things right with Katie, start slow, reach out, work this out. And when you get to the reunion, you guys need to make up. This is not, this is not irreparable. Is that the right word? Yeah, I think so. You can make this right again. Now that she's made these comments and stuff, maybe not. Okay. Because, and Katie sees these comments. Okay. Okay. So last thing for OC. I swear, guys, swear to God. Okay. So when it's not my fault this cast is such a mess. Okay, so Tamra and Eddie went on Jeff Lewis Live, and here's a few highlights. So Tamra says, when Tamra, Shannon, and Gretchen were sitting on the bench at the park, where whatever, when they were in New Orleans, Tamra says she asked Gretchen point blank, "Did you go to the hospital?" And Gretchen answered yes and explained it was because she wasn't feeling well, but that moment never aired, though we do know that Bravo showed Gretchen admitting it in the car when she went to the hospital. So basically what Tamara is saying is that there was another moment in which Gretchen admitted to, yeah, in which she admitted to this. So that's, that's something. Okay. And listen, I don't believe everything Tamara says. Okay. What Tamara says is not Bible. Okay. However, in this case, I do believe her because I saw with my own eyes Gretchen saying it in the car. So I've seen you once blatantly lie. I could see you doing it again. Okay. Then Tamra mentions that Gretchen has since gone on Heather McDonald's podcast and claims she quote unquote misspoke. But Tamra thinks Gretchen just keeps changing her story to cover up her lies. She also and yeah, like how can you misspeak? Like there's misspeak. I don't know how you can misspeak about whether you went to a hospital or not. You were asked twice, point blank, did you go to the hospital? And twice you said no. Sorry, twice you said yes. That, and then we even saw you in the car be like, yes, I was so sick. You're changing your story because this was all unraveling in that moment and you were panicking. So you didn't know if you should stick with the story that you told at the dinner to Katie and Jen and all them, or if you, so that you have kind of plausible deniability maybe, or so you could at least say, well, the truth is I did go to the hospital. So the fact that I told that to Jen and Katie before is not that big of a deal, right? You panicked. But then you decided to go with down a different route of I didn't say it, and now you're trying to do that. So you're trying to do both, and it's what liars do. Like, sorry. Okay, so then she also reveals that Tamara also reveals there were text messages between Slade and Katie's husband, with Slade writing something like 911, you have to call me. Okay. And we know Matt has said like that Slade was basically speaking to him and being like, you need to, call Katie and tell her to like backtrack or whatever the case was. Okay. Tamra also confirms that the journalist Gina called the reputable journalist was Dave Quinn from People magazine. And according to Tamra, someone from the Daily Mail also reached out to her and said Kiki and Katie had gone to lunch. And that's when the roofie allegations came up. Later, Dave Quinn met with Kiki, heard the same allegations, and then called Tamra to warn her. Okay. So I guess that's how it got back to Tamra, right? So someone from Daily Mail reached out to Tamra, said Kiki and Katie had gone to lunch, and that's when the roofie allegations came up. Okay, so maybe that's when Katie told Kiki, I guess. All right. I mean, and that is kind of what I believe happened as well. Okay, but enough of talking about this blogger thing because yeah, I just can't take it anymore. Let's go to Real Housewives of Miami. We have a few stories from there. So first of all, Lisa Hochstein is replying to, a clip that was posted on Bravo's Instagram where, the other girls are talking about how, they don't like her like taking notes and stuff during scenes and when they're hanging out or whatever, and that one of them calls her dangerous, I believe. And she says, so now I'm dangerous for taking notes. So this isn't a comment. Please, Larsa and I haven't been friends for this entire season so far. She twists every story and I'm allowed to keep track of her nonstop lies. funny how everyone suddenly forgets that every single reunion, women show up with receipts, reading off their phones, holding stacks of paper, even waving around binders. That's literally the culture of housewives. But when I jot things down, suddenly it's a scandal. The only thing dangerous here is how far some people will stretch to spin a narrative and work behind the scenes to plot and scheme. Okay. I mean, listen, she's right. Like people bring receipts, people bring stuff. They have, we've seen the whole like binder thing. I mean, I personally think receipts are pretty overrated most of the time and they don't usually kind of work out the way that the people want them to work out. But that being said, receipts are a little bit different than taking notes because especially if you're taking notes about things that are said in scenes that are on camera, it's kind of like, well, the cameras are there so they can, but I guess they don't always show it. They don't always show the flashbacks that they should show. So that is a thing. But, the other thing is that I have to say, I can understand being in a friend group, filming a show, and not want to see someone like typing away on their phone constantly. I can understand that. But I can also understand Lisa feeling like there's a gang up happening and feeling backed into a corner and like she needs to do whatever she can to defend herself. So, I can see a little bit of both sides. I don't think the note taking is really gonna pan out for Lisa the way that she wishes it would anyways. So, it would almost be better to like just kind of write down her thoughts like privately at the end of the day, like after they all go back to their hotel room or something. I don't know. It just seems like I don't think it's going to even have as much impact as she thinks it's going to have. Meanwhile, Stephanie's stylist is clapping back on social media at a criticism from People magazine. So I guess People magazine did this kind of thing where they're talking about like the fashion from the women in their confessionals, etc., and said nothing about Stephanie's personal style clicks into place for me. If it's not the bangles, it's the bun. If it's not the bun, it's the makeup. If it's not the makeup, it's the color of this dress. If it's not the color of this dress, it's the dress itself, and then the bangles, and then the bun, and then the makeup, and then the color of this dress, and then this dress. Her personality isn't much better either, although it's nice to see a woman unafraid to wield her private jet like a weapon. It's her only good accessory. Wow, that's a pretty harsh critique. That being said, I agree. I think Stephanie's style I find it confusing and it almost seems like she's like cosplaying. It's like this is Stephanie's idea of what old money women would wear. And she so desperately wants to be in that like kind of group, but it's really not. And it's just kind of like she's like playing dress up almost. Like it doesn't even seem to suit her personality. You know what I mean? Which seems weird. So then her stylist, Rob Angel, replies on social media and writes, thank you so much at People magazine for your opinion on how horrible you think my work is. A weak person would be devastated to see this. However, a confident person like myself knows that whoever wrote this article has absolutely no taste because, sweetie, she looks stunning. The cyberbullying on myself at Cesar and at Stephanie Shoji is appalling. Oh, sorry, I lost my place. If you think a few episodes of a TV show means that you know everything about a person and their personality, it just personifies your ignorance. Have a blessed day and get a life. Kissy face emoji. Okay. First of all, she has chosen to go on a reality show and showcase her life. So no one is saying they know everything, but people are allowed to give opinions on what they are seeing. And we are seeing her wield her private jet as a weapon. No one is saying that that's the only facet of her entire personality, but we are saying that she's talking about it way too much on the show. And I think we're allowed to say that because it's true. Also, what does that have to do with her style? We can see her style on the show with our eyes and in every scene, and we see what she wears. We don't have to know her personally, nor does People magazine have to know her personally to make a judgment about the fashions that they see. Okay? And also, you're not as important as you're making yourself. Sorry, but the whole like we're being cyberbullied, you're not being cyberbullied. No one cares about this that much. Like, it took me a while to even hear about this, that this designer got mad about this. I think this even happened like a couple weeks ago. And I know, like, I follow everything that's happening with Bravo News, and this didn't even come across my radar in a big way, so much that I forgot about it and forgot to cover it. It probably should have been on last week's episode. So, like, calm down. Like, this is like, as LVP said, you're not important enough to hate. Okay, let's go to the Valley. So Brittany is dating someone, as we've all heard, probably already by now, because I'm behind, obviously. And Kristen Doty has some thoughts. Okay. So Kristen Doty says that he's very much approved of the person that Brittany's dating, and so she has someone in her life that's really amazing, that I am head over heels for. She's dated people during her single years since her ex-husband, and I have not approved of them. They've been fine, but not wonderful. This person is very wonderful and very cool, very family feeling. Okay. Kristen also says he's a dad, so that makes it really easy, a lot easier and understandable. And then when asked about whether Brittany and the new guy are serious, she says, we'll see. So now, meanwhile, we've seen some paparazzi pictures floating around of Brittany and her new man, but I guess he comes with some drama because, of course he comes with drama, because then we see that her boyfriend is, I don't know, maybe still married or like maybe separated, etc. And the wife is kind of calling him out on Instagram. Okay, so the wife of her new beau took to social media over the weekend to blast the husband. So her name is Jacina Stanko. And this was on TikTok. And she wrote, so basically, Brittany is dating her estranged husband, Brandon Hansen. And the news came out and it's like posted in these pictures of them at like the beach or whatever. And she commented and said, he's my husband. That man is married. Okay. And then a follower was like, did you date him? And she's like, yeah, I married him. You know him? And then they show a picture of her. I gotta be honest, she kind of looks like Britney. Like, I'm not gonna lie, she kind of looks like Britney. And then a source explains to Page Six that the relationship status of Cartwright's boyfriend is more complex. So it's not just like he's married and having an affair, I guess. But quote, Brittany's new relationship comes at a time as they are both experiencing similar life changes. Like Brittany, he's going through a divorce and he and his ex have been separated for 7 months. And we're also told that Brittany and the new boyfriend appear to have known each other for a while, but they reconnected well after he'd already been separated. The source also says the two have found comfort in each other as they've been navigating their respective divorces and personal life changes. And Brittany did not comment, basically. But yeah, they show the two of them inside at some party. They were holding hands at like a private party. And then there's like the whole like beach thing. And there's a picture of him as well, which I reposted on Instagram, but you can definitely find it. If you do a little internet sleuthing, you'll find it pretty quick. Okay. Now, whether there was overlap of when like Brittany started talking to him, I don't know, you know, and if there was, I guess that's kind of on him. And he could have easily told Brittany I'm separated when he wasn't separated yet. Like, I don't know. So I'm not going to like, I don't like Brittany. I'm not a fan of Brittany, but I'm not going to jump on the like, Brittany's the other woman narrative or anything. We need to find out more about this. And I could technically say that Brittany is still married right now because her divorce is not final either. Like, people can date when they're separated. Now, whether there was some shady shit going on with him and not being upfront with his now ex-wife or whatever, that I'm sure time will tell, because she's dating this guy and I'm sure he's probably going to appear on the Valley or will at least hear from Brittany about it. And we know Brittany's thirsty for attention, so I'm sure it'll all come out in due time. Okay, let's go to some Real Housewives of Beverly Hills news, because the divorce between Denise Richards and her ex, Aaron Pfeiffer's, is still very messy and sad, that she has to deal with this man. But yeah, anyways, he's refusing to vacate their Calabasas home despite being evicted. So Denise Richards filed a request to remove him from the Los Angeles rental home after there apparently there was an eviction notice for unpaid rent, so he wasn't even like paying the rent or anything like that. So the court documents were obtained by Page Six. And yeah, so she's asking the court that they require that Aaron, his parents, and brother, so he's got his whole fucking family living up in there, vacate the Calabasas property so that she can get her stuff, including her dogs. Um, and she wants to do this without breaking the set temporary restraining order. Okay. All right. So she basically claims that she moved out 2 years ago under the impression that her ex's family would live there temporarily, but they're like, they're basically like, no, we're not leaving kind of thing. So I don't know if she stopped. Like, my understanding was that she was paying for this place. So I don't know if she stopped paying so that they would get an eviction notice, so that they would have to leave so that she could get her, which isn't like the worst idea, I guess. But according to the documents, he was supposed to be in charge of the rent starting in January because his family was still living there. But they refused to leave, but they obviously didn't pay it. Okay, so that makes more sense. So they didn't pay it. She alleges that they mentioned several times that they were going to leave the property and move back to Canada. Oh no, we don't want them here. Can you stay there? Okay. So the other part of this is that Denise has been saying that Aaron and his family have severely damaged the house and that it's in a state of disarray. And she actually has photos, and it's like unopened boxes closed, trash, papers tossed around, and the flooring removed. So I guess when Denise went there when she wasn't supposed to, after they put down her dog, she saw the state of the house and took pictures, right? And the pictures are pretty wild. Like, it's not just like a mess, it's like a disaster. Like, it's like not like one of those hoarding shows, but on the way there, I guess. Oh man, it's crazy. So they have severely damaged it. He says, okay, so this is what Aaron says, the reason it's so damaged. We had to rip up the carpet because you couldn't breathe in the room. It was that disgusting. I had my brother rip up carpet because it was super saturated with piss and fecal matters. Okay, but why? I guess because of the dogs. And then he says it was a biohazard. We were hoping to replace everything, he adds. Okay, but like, why are the dogs doing this on the cart? Like, are you not taking them outside? Are you not taking them for walks? Are you not taking care of them properly? Like, why would it be that saturated with fecal matter and pee? Like, it sounds like you guys are not, like, are you not cleaning up whenever they do have an accident? And why are they having the accident? And if Denise wants them back and you're not able to take proper care, give them back to her. Or you're just using them for kind of ransom in your divorce against Denise. So yeah, there's another image where it kind of shows like what appears to be a living room. The sofa's pushed towards the wall and there's things out of place and tossed around on the floor. The flooring can be seen as completely torn out of the hallway, and there's like other papers and debris, remaining on the ground. And Aaron says, not that I take anything that he says with, any weight to it at all, because I think he's a liar, says it was 10 times worse than what you see now in those pictures. That's all her stuff, by the way. Those are all her boxes of clothes, which my mom took off the floor and tried to hang up in wardrobe boxes. What do you mean tried to hang up? Like, what do you mean try? Like, you either hang them up or you don't. It's like, so basically, she had her own stuff at the home, which makes sense because she's paying for it. You moved your family and shit in. They probably just threw all her boxes of stuff out of the closet so they could have their own space. That's probably what happened. And then they just live in a disgusting mess. Like, that seems to be what's going on here. And then yeah, Denise has abandoned everything. Why? Because she's not paying the rent anymore. So she's abandoning you. Okay. We see what you're doing. All right. Okay, let's go to some Vanderpump Rules news because Sheena is responding to Lala not posting about her book. So she was answering some fan questions, and basically somebody said, like, how do you feel about Lala, like, not really posting about your book? And then, like, something like that. I don't have the exact question. I'm sorry. But Sheena says that, we're still friends. And she says, I didn't hear anything, but, I had sent like a nice like PR box to her and like all my friends and close people. She's like, so I didn't know if maybe she didn't get the PR box. So basically, I texted her and asked if she had received it. She replied and said her mom and brother deal with the packages and that she'll have them check. But then a week went by and I didn't hear anything. But then she posted a picture of the book and put at Sheena Shea, like tagged Sheena in it, I guess. And she's like, yeah, so yeah, we're still friends. And I'm not going to lie, Sheena sounds very bitter. Like she sounds like, yeah, this girl, like she waited like till, a week or so after and didn't really congratulate me, didn't make like a big post, just like the book and at Sheena, which is a very like dry, minimal effort type of post to do. Like if you're like somebody's like one of their best friends, you should post the book. Oh my God, at Sheena, I'm so proud of you. Everyone go out and get her book. Here's the link to Amazon, the Amazon link and, whatever, Barnes and Noble. Go get it, guys. Congratulations on being in New York Times. Like that's the kind of thing you would post. And then you would like post yourself reading it. Like that's what a supportive friend or family member does. And we all know why Lala didn't really post about it because she's jealous. She's jealous because we know Lala so desperately wanted to be on what's it called? The New York Times bestseller, and she didn't make it. And Stassi made it, and Sheena made it. Like, again, of all the women in the Vanderpump Rules, main cast, Lala was always the least relatable, the least authentic, and the least almost, I don't know how else to say it, but almost like the least, and I don't mean it literally. I just mean like she seemed not like a real person. Like she often just seemed like an actor who's just kind of like there to stir up drama for the producers, which I do think is why she was hired. But that's why it's like people just aren't going to connect with that in any real way. And as much as Sheena pisses me off all the time and she's annoying and all that kind of stuff, like, don't get me wrong. But, she also has this thing where Sheena can't help but be Sheena. And it is at least a little bit endearing. And we have watched Sheena just like fuck up and over again and never learn anything for so long. So it's like, we know we're going to get at least some authenticity from Sheena, even if it is like her own kind of like, you know, crazy brand of delusional version. Whereas like Lala's just so fake and calculated and yeah, it's not enjoyable. Okay. Meanwhile, Sheena also talking about, in her book, she talks about the whole like Mexico trip thing where Katie came and she says that basically, she was very hurt that Katie came on the trip and she understands that Katie wanted to get her filming day rate. But she at the end of the day, the resort was all booked up and she needed a room for somebody who was coming to the wedding and she was pissed that Katie wouldn't, we all saw the story. And she's like, long story short, she's like, I offered her more than market value for the room. And she said, that's, my vacation and I deserve a vacation. Like, but you also just finished saying you understand why she came so she could get paid. And then she criticizes and says, well, I wasn't invited to Lake Havasu, right? So she, got in the way of my paycheck and took money. And she, of course, says, took money from me and my family. Why don't you tell Brock to get a job? How about that? Instead of cheating with the girl at the gym, instead of, expecting Katie to be in charge of like making your income. But anyways, the point of this is that Katie responded to a clip and she says, LOL, deep down, she has to know the truth as to why I was there. She panicked for months because they said they weren't going to film her wedding. Trust me, I would have loved to sit at home that week, but I'm keeping all that to myself. Okay, so I'm assuming that means that Sheena was worried that they weren't even going to film her wedding and that she was panicking about it. And that maybe, like, if we're going to be filming your wedding and featuring it on the show, you're going to need to have Katie there and need to have some drama. So, like, stop acting like in some way Katie wasn't doing you a favor. Maybe that's what they're saying. Or maybe it's also just like, we do know that now, especially with Sheena's book, that Sheena was demoted to like a friend for some seasons. So I don't know if Sheena was kind of panicking about that again, especially being like left out of the Lake Havasu trip. And being left out of the Lake Havasu trip was your own fucking fault. What did you think was going to happen when you're trying to hook up Schwartz with Raquel when Katie said she didn't want that? Okay. I can't have any sympathy. See, she can't help Sheenaing. Okay. What else do we got? We have some big Real Housewives of Potomac news because Karen Huger was given a new jail release date. And, obviously she's already out at this point because I missed that week. But she got out on September 2nd. And I'm going to have a bunch of updates on Monday's episode about her release and all that. But yeah, Karen got out of jail, her car drove out. We got some cameras kind of got a little shot of her hand waving out the window. And listen, she deserved her sentence. I understand why she got let out early because I think that, I from what I hear, overcrowding, all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure she was, well, it seems like maybe she was on her best behavior because she got out early. I hope she learned something. Whether she did or not is another story, but I guess we're going to find out because from what we've seen, Bravo's shooting, there's going to be some scenes. And I am looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie. Meanwhile, we have some clues because about kind of who's beefing on the cast because the new trailer came out, which by the way looks amazing and also dramatic and also hilarious. And now we know we're going to get, the cameras kind of picked back up for Karen getting out of prison, which is going to be even more epic at the end of the season. But we also know that Kierna has unfollowed Dr. Wendy on Instagram amid the new season. So there's some kind of beef between them. And also it has been released that there are pictures of Stacey spotted at a dinner with Monique's ex-husband, Chris Samuels. Okay. Now, I don't necessarily think that means they're dating, but do I think that maybe Stacey's hanging out with him and that might piss off Monique? Maybe, but I mean, as far as I know, Monique and Stacey are not friends unless they are friends or unless they became friends and then they got into something and then Stacey goes and hangs out with him to like piss off Monique. I don't know. But the point is, they are definitely at this dinner together, as posted a picture from at the Bravo Shade Room. So we will see what happens with that as well. I guess maybe Monique coming back is going to stir some things up. Meanwhile, in Summer House filming, they filmed at Carl's Soft Bar opening. So I guess the soft opening of the soft bar. Okay. Because if you know this, bars and restaurants will have a soft opening and a hard opening. And the soft opening is kind of like, where you just open to family and friends and you sometimes have like a set menu or just like a tasting menu. And, it's not like the opening to the public where it gives the staff and the restaurant a bit of practice in terms of, doing their job for actual people. And so they filmed that for the season of Summer House that's going to be coming out next year. And Kyle was there talking about it. Carl kind of made a video thanking everyone and doing a tour around Soft Bar. It looks very beautiful and aesthetic and good for him. Again, I think he's got a tough road ahead, but Godspeed. Okay. Our last piece of news for this week comes from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Angie K from Salt Lake City has launched her own tequila. Okay. She says, for tequila as smooth as my shade, I take Código everywhere I go. Available for everyone, everywhere, even in Greece. Opa, Código partner. So she's a partner. This is not like her own company. And then Lisa Barlow responds, and I mean, interesting choice to do a tequila partnership when you know that is like, you are on the show with Barlow and that is like her constant, like, Vida Tequila, like every single scene. So Lisa responds with a tweet and says, I would fucking hate always being a copy, #original. Okay, so I am going to assume that Angie and Lisa are not friends right now and that this season didn't go well for them. I mean, that's really the only thing that makes sense here. Oh, it's funny. It's very funny. Love it. Okay. Anyways, that is all for this week. Thank you for allowing me to catch up and for listening to over 30 minutes of OC news. If you made it through all of that, my apologies. Hopefully it won't be as much for next week's episode when it comes to Orange County, and we'll have a better balance of shows. We can only hope. But if you want more, if you want to hear my recaps of Orange County and Miami episodes weekly, and then once Potomac and Salt Lake City start, I'll be recapping those as well. Head over to patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And until next time, you are now in the know for everything Bravo. Bye. Thanks for listening, everyone. Your support really means everything to me, and this show wouldn't be possible without you, the listeners. So please, if you enjoy the podcast, leave a 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. For more, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And for $5 a month, you'll get 4 extra podcast episodes a month. You'll also get early releases of Bravo Paper episodes and more. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel @The Bravo Papers and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, @Bravo and Botox and @The Bravo Papers. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can at buymeacoffee.com/Bravo and Botox. You know, send your love through some much needed caffeine. And any guest that was on today's episode will be in the show notes, all their social media and contact information. So thank you so much, everyone. Keep overanalyzing Bravo.